I've got some aluminum foil hacks that you're going to want to see. We're going to start with that grease buildup on the grill. We don't want those, especially when we're cooking those hamburgers for the summertime. Take off a square of that aluminum foil and crumble it up, but make sure you don't crumble it too tight because we want as much surface area as possible. Go ahead and run it all over the grill and it's going to get that grease all the way off, especially if you don't have a brush. Look at that. Just keep going. It'll get it clean. Next, you ever get some static buildup on your favorite blanket or clothes in the dryer, but then you're out of dryer sheets? The best thing to do is, again, crumble up that aluminum foil. This thing loves to mess up with those electrons that are flowing through your clothes. Just put a wad in there, turn it on for only 5 minutes, and once it's done and pull it open, it's going to get all that static electricity right off that blanket. Next step is you got some dull scissors. Those things get dull all the time. Take a square of aluminum foil, fold it in force, and you're just going to start cutting along the edges. What that does is that slowly but surely starts to sharpen your knife. Once it gets all nice and sharp, you got like a brand new pair of scissors. Next, why don't we get out the paint? Because there's nothing worse than getting that paint buildup in the bottom of your roller pan. Once you get that aluminum foil out, all the way up on the sides, you can pour your paint and it works like magic, just like you had a new one. And if you got some paint left over on your roller or your brush, don't squeeze it too hard, but put some aluminum foil over it. Keeps it away from the air. And you can also save that paint without having to pour it back in your bucket by just taking some more aluminum foil and putting it over the top. Now that we're talking about paint, let's go back to that doorknob and put some aluminum foil over it. It's better than having to run tape all over the edges. And if you get paint on there, you can just take it off. Keeps that doorknob from getting too sticky. This is one of my favorites. You can use recycled oil or new oil, and you're going to take a little tin foil and put it over the top of a little can, or cut a little hole in the top and use 100% cotton string. Any size will do, but you want to put it in there and let that soak up and light her up, and now you've got your own little candle, and it burns great and slowly. Also, when it's all done and it goes out, what you can do is put the lid back on it and seal it up, and you've got a candle next time you need it. Also, what you can do is turn on your stove, and if you've got a ring that's a little dull and it needs to polish it up, take again that aluminum foil and put it up into a ball and drop a few in that boiling water. Put the ring in there, and then next you're going to put some baking soda. It's going to bubble up so little at a time, and you can also add a little bit of salt. Once you do that, let it sit in there about 10 to 15 minutes. Use some tongs to pull it out, dry it off, and you're not going to believe what happens. Look at the shine on that ring. It comes right off and looking good. Next step, if you've got some rice or anything you need to put in a baggie but don't have a Ziploc bag, go ahead and take that foil, put it all the way across the bag, and use an iron to go ahead and seal the bag. Just put it on there for a few seconds. Make sure it's not steamed or anything like that. Pull that first layer of foil off, pull the second layer off, and watch this. Once you pull that baggie up, it's going to be sealed. Look at that, and it's great. Look how sealed this is. Keeps that stuff in there nice and fresh. I hope this inspired you to use aluminum foil, all the hacks that you can think of, all throughout the house and in the shop.
I wrapped an iron in tinfoil for this brilliant furniture hack. I grabbed a side table from the thrift store and took it apart. I sanded it, wiped it clean, primed and painted. I painted 2 coats and then sanded and wiped clean between each coat. I added a clear top finish and then I put it all back together. I wrapped my iron in tinfoil to keep it clean and then I turned it on. Once it was heated, I ironed wood edge banding to the edges. I left a bit overhanging on either side and then I trimmed it with scissors. When all the edges were complete, I gently sanded the top edge and filed the corners to ensure a smooth finish. The tinfoil protected the iron from getting any of the edge banding adhesive and kept it clean. Now I have the most beautiful nightstand with a professional finish on all edges. I hope this inspires you to refinish your furniture with this easy technique.
Today we're going to talk about aluminum foil or tin foil hacks. For this hack, I'm going to start by placing a piece of aluminum foil in the bottom. Now, I just need it to lay flat on the bottom. I've also placed water in it. So as you can see here, I've got water and then the aluminum foil. The amount of water that you use depends upon what you'll be putting in. Next, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. I want to get it going to a boil. I'm also going to add 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Now that it's boiling, we're going to take this tarnished piece of silver and put it inside. Now I recommend using hot pads or tongs to get it in there, and watch closely as you place it inside the reaction is almost instantaneous and all of the tarnish disappears. So you just simply take it, drop it in, pull it out, and it's clean. For this next hack, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this as is. And I'm gonna show you about a little ironing hack. So as you can see here, the seam on this is sticking out and I need to iron it. So one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and leave this tin foil here. Again, it protects the surface, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this down. I'm gonna grab my iron again. Once again, dry setting, no steam, and I have this on the cotton setting, or for whatever you're ironing, make sure it's on the appropriate setting. So one thing I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna iron this back and forth so that I can make that part. And this would work for anything, for a shirt or anything that you are working on to iron, and you're gonna iron your whole thing. So as you can see here, this is now ironed, so this isn't gonna stick out. But the neat trick about using tin foil underneath or aluminum foil is that it irons both sides at the same time. So I can get 2 done for the price of 1. Okay, so I've got a piece of tin foil laying down to protect my surface. I've got a little piece of paper, and we're gonna have a little fun creating some art here. So I've got a little piece of tin foil here, or aluminum foil. I'm gonna put the shiny side up, like so. Now I wanna keep this from rolling up, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of tape. Next, this is a hot pen. And so what you do is you just go in, and you can like kind of pre-draw something if you want, but I'm just gonna go ahead and go in and then just make some random lines on it and have a little fun just creating some random art here. And you can create anything you want, right? So this is something that, once again, maybe kids get into, something like that. You can use this on paper. You can use this on wood. So this concept can be done in a lot of ways. So you can kind of make your own custom cards with this, you know, that kind of thing as well. So I'll just go ahead and finish doing this here. Maybe make another little curly Q. There we go. And now we're gonna peel it up and see what it looks like. You can see it. And there you can see the fun artwork. So here you go, fun artwork, and you can frame this, and you could do this on a larger scale. And again, works on paper, works on wood, a lot of different things. You just need the hot pen and the right foil for it, and you can create lovely, lovely designs. Next, we're gonna have fun with a little candle holder. We often have a lot of these plain and simple ones laying around. So I'm gonna start by getting a piece of tin foil out. And then the next thing I wanna do is kind of measure it. I'm looking for the line here on the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead, kind of go all the way around just so I know exactly how much I'm gonna need, and overlap is okay. And mark it. Then I'm gonna unwind it again and measure it from the top. So again, lining up this empty space at the bottom and then kind of figuring out how far I need to go. It's okay if there's a little gap at the top. And then what I do is I just take the box or a ruler, line up the 2 dots and draw a line between the 2. And then again, down here, drawing the 2 dots together, like so. Next, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is cut it. So I'm gonna take this piece and cut the tin foil. Another tip, when you are cleaning wax out of candles, maybe you wanna reuse the jar. All you do is take one of these wadded up pieces of tin foil, get it in there and rub around, and it will take the wax right out of there. So there's another little hack for you. All right, move this aside. So the next thing I wanna do is I can leave it like this, nice and shiny, but I kind of like that mercury glass look. So I'm gonna go ahead and crumple it up a little bit just to give it some texture. And I'm gonna open it back up again, just so I give it kind of some texture like that. Then the next thing I might wanna do is add some holes to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a little screwdriver. So I've laid some padding down, or I could do a cutting board to protect my surface. And actually what I ended up deciding on is a punch because it's nice and sharp. So all I'm gonna go do is just poke random holes. Okay, now I'm gonna move that out of the way, and the next thing I'm gonna do is bring my candle holder back, and I'm gonna go inside, and you can choose whether you want the shiny side out or the matte side, but I want the shiny side out. So I'm gonna start by getting that in here, inside. So once it's in there, it kind of looks like this on the outside. You can you could Mod Podge this out if you want to make sure it sticks, but it kind of gives you that nice crackly look. So there are a lot of varieties of these, but I'm just gonna go, and this will also help keep your tinfoil sticking out to the edges. That part doesn't matter quite as much. You just wanna kind of build that in here. This works as great centerpieces for a variety of things, but here we go. Here's kind of the look at it, and then let's go put it in the light and take a look at how it glows. And here's a look at what it looks like when it's glowing. It adds kind of that starry effect to it. So many people don't know this, but wrapping paper technically isn't recyclable. Most wrapping papers are not. So what we're gonna do here is use aluminum foil. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure up and cut the foil just like I would cut wrapping paper. And again, you can use the matte side or the shiny side. And then I'm gonna take my container and my gift, and I'm gonna wrap it just like a normal gift. The other great thing about this is you don't often need a lot of tape when you do this. So put this in, and over here, and then put the tape on it. And there we go. And it's just a lovely, lovely shape. And you can add your bow to it or whatever you like. Now, when it comes to bows, you can either use bows and then reuse them again. You could also use string or something else that's recyclable. So it's really up to you what you want. And I hope this inspires you to try some aluminum and tinfoil hacks of your own.
Grab some clear shower rings from the Dollar Tree. Grab 3 large plastic storage bins from the Dollar Tree. Evenly add and connect shower rings to each side of the storage bin on the top and the bottom to connect additional storage bins, and use the shower rings on the top for hanging it to the closet rod. Now you're able to take advantage of the vertical space with this hanging storage. Grab 1 10x8 and 2 6x4 acrylic photo frames from the Dollar Tree. Remove all of the paper and plastic packaging from the frames. Add some glue to the edges of the back of both of the smaller frames and then adhere it to the larger frame. And now you have an easy and modern acrylic sunglass holder. Grab some cabinet shelves from the Dollar Tree. Line up cabinet shelves side by side and straighten out the legs if necessary, and then add some zip ties to the legs to attach everything together. This makes for a perfect shoe rack for both kids and adults. Grab some pegboards from the Dollar Tree. Start by gluing 3 square pegboards side by side. Next, create some dividers by adding some glue around the edges of one of the square pegboards, the bottom of both of those, and sticking it to the base. Now you have a sturdy shelf divider to use for clothing or accessories. Grab 2 pegboards and adhere them together, and then add some pegs. This makes for great storage for hanging and storing all kinds of jewelry. Grab some removable hooks from the Dollar Tree. Get a hanger and adhere the hanger hooks either using the packaging instructions or using some glue. Now you have attached hanger hooks to easily attach additional hangers with clothes to save space or match sets. Grab 2 broomsticks from the Dollar Tree. Grab 2 of these mop and broom holders. Grab 4 8x10 canvases. Start by detaching the canvas from all of the frames. Then glue 2 of the wood pieces from the detached canvas together. Then glue the back of the mop and broom holders and add that and adhere it to the wood pieces. Then lock in a broomstick on both sides of each of the mop and broom holders. I hope these Dollar Tree organizing hacks help inspire you to create some organization for your space.
Grab one of these 3-drawer bins from Walmart and we are going to dress this up. I picked up some half-round pieces of wood and I need to cut them down to roughly 4.5 inches each. Now it's time to attach them to the drawers. I want to cover the front of the drawer to give this kind of a natural boho look. I picked up a multi-surface glue, so this is going to work really well on wood and plastic, and it dries clear. So I'm just going to put a dab of glue on each piece of wood and put them all the way across the drawer. Now that everything's dry, I'm going to take this outside and add a coat of spray paint. I'm opting for a real neutral beige color, and I'm going to cover the front of the drawer and the wood. I opted to leave the rest of the drawer set white. I really like the contrast between the beige and the white, and I think these drawers look so good. It is such an upgrade from the basic drawer set that I had originally.
Let's run on down to Walmart, and it's time to grab your favorite inexpensive bucket. We got to get those handles off. We don't need those. Take them off both sides. They clip right off. Next, we're going to take that bucket and flip it over. We need to set in 2 strips of wood that are going to fit right on the edge. Just go ahead and set it down there. No need for a tape measure, and just mark it with a pencil. What you're going to need is definitely 2 of these. Just use your favorite saw. It's easy to do. Next, stick them on there. Make sure they fit just right inside the grooves. Then you can use some hot glue. Just 3 good dabs on the edge will do it. Just flip it over and press it against the plastic. Now I know what you're thinking. This glue does not hold permanently. That's okay. We just need it to hold until we can flip it back over. So do that to both pieces right on the edge and just hold it down till it sets. Takes about 20 seconds. Next, flip the bucket over, and what you're going to do is grab just some small little screws. They don't need to be long. We don't want them to pop out through the end of the wood. So just take your drill and put it right in. 2 or 3 in each strip of wood will be just right. Just put it in there, don't over tighten, and that's going to hold it in place. Now it's time to put on the wheels. I got these little inexpensive caster wheels, but I need the drill bit to be just the right size, and we're going to mark it 1 inch from each side of the wood. We're going to put 4 of these legs on. So once you get them marked, let's go ahead and we're going to drill it. You can just drill all the way through the plastic. It's not going to be a problem because when we set the leg in, it's going to block the hole. So these little wheels are perfect. Now it's time to take that hot glue, put it right on the edge of the hole there, and put the leg on. It's going to hold it just great. Now, if you don't want to use hot glue and you want a little different glue, go ahead. It'll work also. Just let it set up. I like using hot glue because it's fast. Once we get the legs in, look at this. They are excellent. Exactly what we need. Now it's time to go ahead and decorate the bucket. I grabbed this twine over at Dollar Tree. Just take again our favorite hot glue, put it right on the edge. This is our starter piece. Just stick it right on there. You want to make sure this first row is perfect. I use the edge of this bucket right on this line, and that's going to be what I call my datum line. Just go ahead and set it all the way around, and we're going to go around the whole bucket. Once you get that on, it's time to take a little bit of your inexpensive fabric, cut about 12 inches wide. We're going to use that hot glue again, and we're going to fold over the edge. That's going to give us a nice edge to finish this off. What I did was I just worked my way down with that hot glue and kept folding it over. Be careful because it can get a little hot. Once we get both edges nice and done, what we're going to do is fold it over the bucket. It's going to cover all that plastic. Get that glue right on that last bit of rope right there. Spread it over and just mark it down right there. We're going to take this all the way around the bucket and look at this. This is going to be a great container. We can store books, dog toys, or even toys for the grandkids. It turned out great.
Grab a plastic bin from Walmart for this project. I'm going to start by drilling a few holes into the side of the bin. This is going to be for handles down the road. Then I'm going to flip the bin over and I'm going to drill 4 holes, one in each corner of the plastic bin. I want to dress this bin up, so I picked up some gray and white patterned fabric and I've cut it down to size so that it is the right height of the bin. Now I'm going to use some spray adhesive to adhere the fabric to the plastic. When I get to the corners, I am going to cut up the side, and then I can just fold these 2 pieces over each other, creating a really nice looking seam. To add the handles, I'm going to locate the hole that I drilled with my finger, and then just poke through the fabric with a pair of scissors. Now I can thread the jute through and tie a knot on the inside to secure it in place. Now I'm going to add some feet to the bottom to raise this up off the ground and just make it look a little nicer. And there you have it. I have a really nice looking bin that I can keep out in the open. It looks so much better than your basic plastic bin, and I can store all kinds of stuff in here.
I have this storage container and I'd love to use it for my office supplies, but I really don't want to see what's inside. I'm starting by giving the container a quick sanding so that the surface is a little rougher. To make the outside look a little better, I want to add some clay designs before I do anything else. I always dust my molds with cornstarch before adding the air dry clay so that it releases easily when I'm done. I'm just going to keep adding clay until the mold is slightly overfilled. To remove the excess clay, I'm going to take an old ruler and just run it from the middle of the design to the outside edge. Now it's time to release the clay. Look at that beautiful flower and all those details. For right now, I'm just going to lay the clay where I want it. I've gone ahead and made some more impressions, and I'm going to lay them all out on the side of the container. Now that I've decided where I want the impressions, I'm using some tacky glue to stick them in place. Once they're all glued, I'm just going to leave this to dry overnight. With the clay stuck in place and dry, it's time to paint them. I've chosen a silver spray paint for the first coat. This is going to cover the clear container and provide a really nice background. Now that the silver spray paint is dry, it's time to give the container a beautiful faux stone look. I'm using stone spray. It's a textured spray with different shades of beiges to give the look of stone. The trick with this spray is to do a lot of light coats. Each coat has to dry, and then the next extra coat will help to build up that faux stone. I think this box and the texture are so fun. I love that what's inside is hidden now as well. The next time you're at the dollar store, grab one of these inexpensive plastic bins and give it a farmhouse makeover.
I want to give this storage piece a farmhouse feel, so I headed to my paint supplies and grabbed some sandpaper and white paint. Before painting the bin though, I want to make sure that the surface is roughed up a bit, so I'm going to give it a quick sanding with some medium grit sandpaper. Now that the bin is ready, I'm going to give it a coat of white paint. I'm not going to go and paint the inside of the bin because I actually like the gray and it'll match the dresser next to where it will be. To create the farmhouse look that I want, I'm going to add some faux wood grain. I'm using a chip brush because of its uneven bristles and some brown glaze. Only a little bit of the glaze is needed on the brush, and then I just lightly sweep it across the surface. This creates the faux wood, and I can even create some faux knots with the glaze as well. If I want to soften up the lines, just this damp paper towel is all that I need. Once I've finished all the sides with the glaze and the faux wood grain, I'm going to leave it to dry overnight. Now that the paint and glaze are completely dry, I want to fancy up the handles a little bit. I've grabbed some of this thick twine and I'm going to wrap it around each one. I'm going to use a little dab of hot glue to hold each of the ends in place. I love the rustic touch the twine gives to the bin.
I love how pretty this plastic bin looks now. You wouldn't even know it's the same one. A little bit of paint and it was easy to do. I hope this has inspired you to give your plastic bins a makeover as well.
I completely transformed this thrifted lampshade into the most beautiful home decor. I removed the shade so it was just the wire frame. I used a utility knife to scrape off the glue. Then I sanded the wire frame with sandpaper and steel wool. I wiped clean and then spray painted it matte black. While it was drying, I sanded a wood round, wiped it clean, and sealed it with gloss spray Varathane. I applied 5 coats and then sprayed the last coat with satin Varathane. I pre-drilled and screwed the wire frame and wood round together.
Time to run down to your local baker and grab a big old container of cookies. But even though those cookies are yummy, what we want is that decorative lid. We're going to measure it straight across and get about 10 inches. Lay out some cardboard and we're going to pick a bowl that's round for us to mark. Just go ahead and lay it on the cardboard and take a marking pen and get you that perfect circle. Now it's time to mix up our cement. Once we get it mixed, carefully lay it inside the bucket. You can see the consistency here is like some really good pudding. Now, once you get the right amount in, you're going to go ahead and just shake it all up. Cut some strips of wood. This one is going to be full 10 inches across and the other ones are going to be 4 each. And then glue up the ends, lay it out and fold it in. We want to make sure that all the pieces of the wood fit inside the circle. Take some popsicle sticks and some hot glue. You're going to lay this across the top. This is going to be our clamp that is going to hold the pieces together while that wood glue dries. Flip it over. We're going to do the other side also. Once you get these pieces on, it's so strong, it's time to go ahead and drill them because we want to put these caster legs on there. All we need to do is take some hot glue, put it in, and all 4 wheels go right in there. Now it's time to take those wood and the wheels and we're going to just shake it back and forth, let it sink right into the concrete. Let it dry for about 24 hours. Go ahead and turn it back over after that 24 hours is up. We're going to use a knife and we're going to start cutting away the plastic. We need to get some air in there. That's what's going to release our mold from the concrete. Look at that smooth, beautiful concrete. Today's project is going to require some clothespins and a small bucket. The clothespins are easy to take apart. All we have to do is use some hot glue. We're going to do that with multiple amounts all the way around. Now on the bottom, I'll grab some rope from Dollar Tree, put a little bit of hot glue, push it in place. Just keep going all the way around. Now it comes time for staying. Next we need a wood or plastic hanger. I took a square, put it against the inside edge, and mark 90 degrees. We're actually going to cut on this line. Once we do that, turn your bucket over, and then we're going to hot glue our legs on. If we do 4 of these across from each other, it makes it nice and steady and stable. Put one of those last bits of rope that I have on there, bring it around to the front, and I'm going to tie a knot on it.
I'm going to grab this trash can, take the top off, we'll use that later, and I'm also going to grab a rubber stair tread. Now I'm going to use a really strong adhesive to attach the stair tread or the doormat around the trash can. This is going to need to set to dry for about 24 hours. So I'm using clamps and some twine to hold everything in place. Now that everything is dry, I can remove the clamps and the rope. I want to make this look a little bit antique, so I am using a silver rub and buff. I'm going to put some drainage holes in this, and I am going to use a wood burning tool. I can flip the lid upside down and place it in the top of the trash can. And now I can fill the top with soil and plants.
I scooped up this metal filing cabinet from Facebook Marketplace. I took it out of my van and I put it up on some raised ladders and I removed all the drawers. Then I'm going to come in with this rust paint and I'm going to paint the entire filing cabinet. Then I'm going to use my drill and I'm going to drill in some holes in the bottom. To weight it down, I'm going to be putting in 2 bags of pea stone gravel. Then I'm going to go to my yard and I collected all these old leaves. This is great because I'm going to fill up the bulk of the cabinet with the leaves. So I fill it up to till there's about a quarter left at the top, and then I fill that last quarter with my potting mix. Then I'm going to go ahead and plant in my flowers.
Grab tin cans and a napkin for this brilliant porch decor. I washed 3 tin cans from the recycling, removed the labels, and scuffed up the surface with a wire brush. I wiped clean with a cloth and spray painted the outside of each can with Rust-Oleum paint and primer white spray paint. While that was drying, I spray painted some metal chain black. I set that aside to dry. I used a small drill bit to drill 3 holes evenly spaced along the top edge of the tin can. I drilled holes in the same spots at the bottom edge and the same spots again at the very bottom of the tin can. Then I cut the napkins into smaller pieces and cut around the birds. I painted outdoor Mod Podge on the tin can, placed the napkin pieces on, and sealed it with more Mod Podge. I did this for all 3 tin cans, then used a nail to poke through the holes I drilled to make sure the glue didn't close them over. I let the cans dry. 24 hours is ideal.
Look for flowers in a multi-pack that can be split apart. Take your laundry basket and drill several holes in the bottom with a drill. Line the laundry basket with a burlap bag or burlap fabric. Start to fill the burlap-lined laundry basket with potting soil. Fill to about an inch from the top of the basket. Cut the excess burlap from the top of the basket with some scissors. Starting with the second row of side basket holes, cut the plastic between 2 holes to create one larger hole. Then cut out the burlap from that larger hole to access the dirt. Take one of your plants and plant it in the hole by pushing it into the dirt behind it. It helps to use your other hand to grab the plant as it comes through the hole and press dirt down around it on the inside of the basket. Once you have the sides of your basket planted, you can plant the top.
First, you need to wet your lampshade thoroughly with some water. We mixed together 2 cups of water, 4 drops of dishwashing soap, and 4 cups of cement. I then painted this mixture on the wet lampshade and let it dry completely. Now it's time to make a cement base for the pot. After letting the cement fully dry and cure, we then used a drill to drill in the drainage hole. I added some potting soil.
I ran over to my local Home Depot and grabbed some planters right off the shelf, and also grabbed some primer and some textured finish. So we're going to put some glue here right around the edges. We're going to bind this pot right here on top of this base. So we're going to put some weight on this. So clean it all up. For the second part of this, we're going to take this waterproof container right here, flip it over. We're going to use the second part of our pot. Let's give this about 30 minutes and then we'll combine the two. Just let that set up, and I want to put on a good coat of primer first, and then we're going to get to our textured paint.
To get started, we are going to be using spackling. So I'm just taking a simple spackling knife. We're going to spread it on all over the pot. What we're going to do next is we're going to do like a stamping technique using chicken wires. You want to just kind of press it in all over, and then we're going to remove it. And you can see here where it's just going to give it a little bit of almost like a beehive look to it. So we're going to go ahead and let them dry. I'm using an indoor-outdoor spray paint by Rust-Oleum, and this color is Heirloom White. So now that we have both coats of the spray paint dry, I'm going to go in and I want to add some of this multicolor texture by Rust-Oleum.
What I did was I laid out some cardboard, spray painted it a couple of times to make both boards the exact same length. You're gonna take your first hula hoop that's already painted, and you're gonna set it on top of the boards. Then what we're gonna do is drill through all 4 corners here. You're gonna put one of your hooks in with it. Make sure it's facing up, and you'll screw it through it. We're gonna do the same thing over here. Now what we're gonna do is turn it around and do the other side. We're gonna take a little bit of dab of glue right next to the screw, take the rope, and just gently wrap it around the loop.
Do you love burning jar candles, but don't know what to do with the wood lid? Spray paint a wood candle jar lid with white spray paint and let it dry completely. Flip the lid over and place it on top of a paper napkin. Trace around the perimeter of the jar lid with a pencil, and then cut out the circle. Separate the layers of the napkin. Brush a layer of decoupage glue onto the top of your painted and dry wood jar lid. Brush another layer of decoupage glue over the top of the napkin.
So I'm going to start this project with a empty marinara jar. I'm bringing out Mod Podge and I'm taking food coloring and putting the food coloring into the Mod Podge. I'm essentially mixing it all together to turn it into kind of a murky brownish green color. I'm getting out a cookie sheet and some newspaper, pouring the mixture, the Mod Podge mixture, into the jar, and I'm spinning the jar to try and get as much coverage on the interior of the jar as I can. I'm going to set my jar upside down, allow it to kind of dry and kind of let the excess drain out. The jars sit for about an hour. We're going to take all of our bottles and we're going to make sure that they're top side up, and we're going to bake these at 225 for about 45 minutes to 65 minutes. And as you can see, each of them kind of has a different tint, so you can really play around with the colors when you're mixing up your Mod Podge. We're starting with a toilet paper roll, and we are going to cut it down to about half this size. So I'm going to be taking an X-Acto blade. I essentially want to create like a flat piece, and I'm going to go around the inside. I want it to kind of fall here. And so I'm just going to continue to add glue around the surface. So I'm going to take a big heap of this and we're going to just start layering it on. So we're going to do essentially the same thing, but I'm going to start by over the exposed base of the toilet paper roll. So I let this dry for about 24 hours. I have a sanding block. All right, now that we've sanded this down, we're gonna wipe it off.
Take 2 woven tissue boxes and some round puck lights with a remote control. Glue the bottom of a puck light to the inside of a tissue box so it is centered over the hole. Run some hot glue around the top of one of the tissue boxes. Flip the other tissue box upside down and attach it to the glued top of the other box. Hang your new sconce on the wall.
You want to pick up 2 bowls. Make sure they are ceramic or glass and that they are heat proof. I took them home and I'm going to give them a coat of spray paint. Once the paint is dry, these bowls have a really nice textured look. I'm just going to use some really strong glue to adhere them together. In the top bowl, I am going to add 3 wicks. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue to secure them to the bottom. Then I'm going to grab 2 wooden skewers and wrap the wick around the skewers. This is just going to hold everything in place. Great way to make your own candles is to reuse existing candle wax. I have a couple of these Dollar Tree tall pillar candles, and I'm going to place them in some boiling water. Now make sure you're wearing gloves. These can get really hot, and I'm just going to gently boil this until all the wax is melted. Pour the wax from all the candles into a metal container with a handle. I'm opting to add a little essential oil for some scent, and now we're just going to pour that melted wax. Then you're going to want to walk away for about 24 hours. When it is completely set, you can trim the wicks down and use your candle.
Spray paint the lid in a favorite color. Once the painted jar lid is completely dry, wipe off the top surface with some rubbing alcohol and let it air dry. Order a monogram sticker, place the monogram face down on the candle jar lid, and rub multiple times over the top of the sticker with the credit card edge.
Quick trip to my local Dollarama, separate the layers, cut the napkin so that you have enough to cover the body of the jar. Now I'm using some clear glue mixed with a tiny amount of water, paint it onto the side of the glass jar. Then lay down the paper nap and then using a piece of scrunched up plastic wrap, use that to pat down the napkin and eliminate any wrinkles that way. Draw around the lid because that will be the right size and cut out the piece of napkin, stick it to the bottom of the jar in the same way. Using the same process, cut out a circle for the top and a little strip for the edge and stick it in place. When it was dry, I decided to give it 2 coats of a gloss varnish. I have taken a battery operated puck light and stuck it into the lid of the glass jar.
I grabbed a corrugated cardboard box and a tin can from my recycling for this elegant home decor. I cut the cardboard about a 1/4 inch taller than the tin can. I wet a tea towel and pressed it onto the top of the cardboard to make it damp, not wet. This helped to loosen it so I could pull the top layer off and expose the corrugated part. Then I flipped it over and painted the top 1/2 inch and top edge antique white using acrylic paint. I flipped it back and painted the whole corrugated surface in antique white, and then I started blending with the other colors. I used a sponge to add black, gray, and I spray painted some silver for a metallic touch. I added more antique white on top and blended it all together using my paintbrush. Once dried, I wrapped it around the tin can, hot glued it together.
Start to paint your pots and saucers with a matte finish paint or chalk paint. Take a paper napkin and separate the 2-ply layers. Draw a circle and cut it out with scissors. Take the saucer and brush the decoupage glue so the bottom and sides of the saucer are covered. Place the paper napkin circle and press down in the center and smooth the napkin out. Dip a small paintbrush in water and brush along the top of the saucer. Add a final layer of decoupage glue. Take a strong adhesive glue and place a ring of glue. Place the saucer on top of the bottom of the pot.
On one of my most recent trips to Dollar Tree, I came across these glass bowls, and as well I spotted these cool margarita glasses. I'm going to take some E6000 and I'm going to spread it around on the bottom of the margarita glass. And then I'm also going to apply some E6000 on the bottom of one of the glass bowls. Then I'm going to place it on top. I'm going to leave this to set. In the meantime, I'm going to take my second glass bowl and I'm going to take some E6000 and I'm going to take an old drawer pull and then place that on top. Next time you're at Dollar Tree, grab one of these square clear plastic containers, a round garden dish, and some of these silver and white plates from the wedding aisle. And then I also had these wooden candle holders. I'm going to use a little bit of E6000 to secure them into place, and then I'm going to let this securely set. I'm also going to take the round garden dish and I'm going to glue that with the E6000 on top of the candle holders. Once it's dry, I took this appliance epoxy spray paint and I gave it a good coat. Then I'm going to take my plastic plate and I'm going to glue it to the front using the E6000. And then I'm going to give the whole thing a spray with this gray chalk paint. And then I'm going to come in just with some gray acrylic paint. I'm going to give it some texture on the sides, as well as working in some black to give it a little bit of definition. Metallic spray paint, and I also sprayed the garden dish on the top. And then I came in with some white paint and I just dry brushed it on. I decided for the bottom part I wanted to add a little bit of a bright color, so I used this dune grass from Country Chic Paint and I lightly patted over top. I next came in with this metallic paint. I did end up taking the plate off the front part because it was easier to work with. Then I took some Mod Podge and I printed off a vintage scale face and I Mod Podged that into the middle of the plate. Then I took this and glued it back onto the front part.
Grab some pot holders the next time you're at the dollar store. I picked up 3 sets of pot holders the last time I was at the dollar store, and I have a few projects I want to make with them. First up, I want to use this pretty blue one, but I don't need the loop at the top. I'm going to use my seam rippers to remove the thread until the loop is undone. I don't want to cut off this long piece of trim, so I'm going to fold it over and use a little hot glue to hold it in place. Now I want to fold this into a cone shape. I'm going to go from the corner to corner the long way so that my cone can be a little bit larger. I'm going to roll over the bottom 2 corners until they create a cone, leaving the top part open. I want to add a little bit of trim, so I'm going to use this great plaid ribbon that I have. I can now slip in a set of silverware and they're going to fit perfectly. This makes my place settings look so much prettier when it's time for company. I'm starting by removing the loop, and then I'm going to glue it into the cone shape. I'm going to use a little bit of lace to trim this one up. I can hold it in place with the hot glue, and then I'm just going to tuck the ends under the opening around the top and around the back. Since I want to hang this cone, I'm going to use the same lace to make a little loop on the back. Now I can slip in my scissors and the other things that I use daily. This is the perfect little place to get these things off my counter and hung up neatly where I can easily get to them. I want to use this great feather pot holder and add a button to start. To find the spot where I need the button, I folded the pot holder over and brought the loop to the front. Now I know exactly where I need to place the button. With the button in place, I want to add some pouches inside so that I can store little things in them. I'm going to use clear sandwich bags and my hot glue gun. I want the bags to open on either end, so I'm running a line of hot glue down the center of the pot holder, and now I can line up the bag with the end and then stick it right down into the glue. After the glue is dried, I can trim off the bottom of the bag and it's still going to stay sealed because of that line of hot glue. I'm going to add 3 more bags the same way so that I have 2 bags opening at each end of the pot holder. To finish off the center where that glue is, I'm going to use a strip of burlap ribbon to just cover it up. I'm going to make this one into a little sewing kit, but there are so many things that I could use this for. It's perfect really at home or for when I travel. For my last project, I'm going to make one more thing out of the pot holders. To start off, I've got this dish towel and I want to add a little dab of glue to the fold line in the middle. With the towel glued, I'm going to fold over the pot holder and glue the fold of the pot holder to the fold of the towel. You can also see that I've already added a button the same way I did for the last project. Once this glue has dried, it's that easy and it's ready to hang. I love this type of towel. They're so great to have in the kitchen and are so handy. I hope these projects have inspired you to grab some pot holders and see what you can do with them as well. The possibilities really are endless. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Hometalk. I'll see you next time.
First, grab 4 paper towel holders. We are tying 2 paper towel holders together with cable ties. To create a stem, we are wrapping rope around the middle piece. Do the same with the 2 remaining paper towel holders. This cute lemon sign is going to be the base. Tape off the frame and remove the raised lemons before painting the center green. Use hot glue to cover the 2 painted craft foam balls with fern leaves. Add a few tiny daisies on top of those leaves. Glue a piece of floral foam to one end of the taller stem. After cutting the stems of these big white flowers shorter, we stick them into the floral foam to form a ball. Now we can glue all 3 our stems to the base. Place pieces of moss around the stems and fill the rest of the tray.
I picked up 2 of these paper towel holders from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to turn one upside down and I am going to zip tie these together really tightly. So here we are. And I'm just going to cut these off. I'm going to paint my whole thing gold. I bought these 4" by 4" photo frames from the Dollar Tree that have gold glitter around them. And then I bought these mirrors that are 4" by 4". I am going to hot glue them. I'm going to take and glue these to one another and take out all of the little easels that hold up the picture frames. What I'm going to do is put my glue gun on low temperature and I am going to stick this piece of styrofoam on top of this piece of styrofoam. We're going to take our paper towel holder that we have painted and we're going to push that right down in there. I'm going to add a bead of hot glue and then I'm going to secure it with some S-pins. I have some acrylic crystal drops and some very fine wire, and I'm going to feed some of these acrylic crystal drops onto my wire. And you're going to hang them right on the top part of your paper towel holders, and you're just going to twist that. I have almost a 7" craft foam. Slide it right over top. I'm going to add a bead of low temperature hot glue and some S-pins. I'm just going to take each individual little floret off of them using low temp glue. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue and I'm going to start covering my styrofoam ball. And what I need to do now is decorate this bottom part right here.
Grab 2 paper towel holders and some faux flowers from the Dollar Tree. Press a foam block down into one of the paper towel holders. Flip the other paper towel holder over and press it into the foam block again. Attach the 2 paper towel holders with some floral wire or some zip ties. Cut the large stems from the faux flowers and start placing the flowers all over the foam block. Grab another foam block and repeat this process. Finish this easy centerpiece by hanging some faux crystals for some extra glam. Hot glue that foam block on top of the paper towel holder.
Let's head over to Dollar Tree and we're going to grab a paper towel holder. Let's all run down to the hardware store and grab us a wood round. Gotta sand the edges. Got to condition the wood. Let it dry about 30 minutes to an hour. Once it dries, it's time to put on some stain. We're going to get 3 of those paper towel holders and we're going to set them in place. What we need to do is paint them. Once we get it all painted, let it dry. Now we got to curve the edges a little bit and bend them. Don't bend them too far, just get them a little 20 degrees, and we're going to do all three at the same angle. Now we're going to put them in place on the bottom of our wood round. And I'm going to take these little electric hooks that I got out of the hardware store, and I'm going to put 4 all the way around each side of these circles here. And once I got them marked, I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill. I'm going to go ahead and put little tiny screws in and hold these clips in place. And I'm going to put a little dab of hot glue, and then I'm going to take some twine. I'm going to set it there, and then I'm going to start wrapping it all the way around.
Next time you're at Dollar Tree, scoop up some of the white wire baskets and grab yourself a paper towel holder. Then I'm going to take the paper towel holder and place it on the bottom and then cut out the wire basket just in the middle. You're going to slide it over top and then you're going to secure it in place with some zip ties at the bottom. You're next going to take your second wire basket and cut out the middle. You're going to place it on your paper towel holder and then you're going to place some zip ties around the paper towel holder to give it a little bit of a ledge to sit on. Then you're going to come in with some E6000 and then you can spray paint it your favorite color.
Head to your local Dollar Tree to start by hot gluing the paper towel holder in the center of one pan. Hot glue rope starting from the outer edge and work your way in. And work your way up the center of the paper towel holder until reaching the top. Take twine and baskets and wrap, tie, and secure them on either side of the paper towel holder center. Take the second round pan and pour marbles into it. Place the top pan and the baskets on top. Head to Dollar Tree and pick up plastic storage drawers, hot glue them together, and then attach each stack to each other from the side. Take wood cubes and hot glue them under the drawers. Take 4 mirrors and hot glue them to the sides and the top. Add beads. Take 4 more mirrors. Take paint stir sticks and hot glue them to the backs of the mirrors to attach them all together. And glue nautical rope to the edges. Add the mirrors to the upper portion of a paper towel holder and then place the holder back under the drawers.
Head on over to the dollar store and grab some paper towel holders. I grabbed a paper towel holder and I placed it onto the command hook. I grabbed my hats and slid it onto the paper towel holder. I started with dollar store adhesive and spread it on the bottom of my pencil holders. I grabbed some fishing line and I wove it through each of the pencil holders and tied it into place. I grabbed some silverware, placed them into each of the pencil holders. I started by grabbing a sign from the dollar store. I grabbed some adhesive and I spread it around the base of a paper towel holder. Next, I placed them onto the board together and I let this set. I grabbed a hanger and slid it onto the paper towel tubes.
You'll need 4 of these chrome napkin holders, a paper towel holder, a set of these plastic chopping boards. First thing is to trace the napkin holder onto the chopping board 4 times and then cut out the half circles. I'm attaching those pieces of the plastic chopping board to the side of the napkin holder. I'm going to take these napkin holders and glue them to the bottom of the paper towel holder. Attach 2 more toward the top of the paper towel holder. Once the glue is all dry, for a little added security, I'm going to use some zip ties.
Take a clear adhesive hook from Dollar Tree and a paper towel holder. Add toilet paper rolls and you have easy and inexpensive toilet paper storage. Place scrunchies and hair ties over the top and you have an easy and cheap storage solution. Loop the zip ties around the paper towel stand, evenly spaced and secure in place. Take scissors and cut off the excess of the zip tie. Use a mini hot glue gun to add little dots of hot glue to make sure the zip ties stay in place. Cover the entire stand with gold spray paint.
Let's head back over to the dollar store and grab some of this chalkboard paint. One of those paper towel holders. You're going to also need a plastic tray. We can go and flip over our plate. Now we're going to take some glue and put it on the back and stick our paper towel holder onto here. After it has dried, we can take this outside. I'm going to be using some of this looking glass spray again. I'm taking chalkboard paint and this is going to give it a lot of texture when I go over this with the second layer.
I've got a back door and window that I want to beautify. So I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements, top and bottom, and then I'm going to grab the fabric of choice. I'm going to spread this fabric out and measure it 27 inches, 3 inches wider than my door and my window. I'm going to go ahead and make a line down the middle, right at the mark there, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it with some scissors, and then I go right down the line to make it even. Once I get that done, I'm going to need some 2-sided tape. This fabric tape is great because it's sticky on one end. I'm going to go ahead and place it down one side of the fabric that I cut, peel the paper off, Once I get that peeled off, then I can go ahead and just fold it right over, and then I'm going to get rid of that bad edge that I got when I cut. Using an iron, I'm going to go ahead and make sure it sticks really good, but then I'm going to put some more tape down and peel it off because I want to fold it over one more time and give it a nice clean edge. Once I get that all solved, I'm going to go ahead and iron it one more time, and then I'm going to grab some cordless mini blinds. Starting at the top, I'm going to go ahead and extend these all the way down to the bottom. Now, I've got way too many slats on there, so what I want to do is remove the button on the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this off because I need that middle string. Once I get that cut, save that button though, but pull that middle string all the way through. Be careful not to lose this string. Once I do that, I can go ahead and cut all the rest of these shades off, but I'm going to need to hold on to about 5 of those. I put a safety pin on the bottom of that string that I saved, and it helps me push them all the way through. Again, just put about 5 of these slats. I'm going to go ahead and get back to the bottom, push the cord through right there, and then I'm going to put that button back on, but I need to tie a few knots. Once I get that, it's not going to slip through, and I'm going to use my finger and push it back on. Once I do that, I can go ahead and glue the top railing of the mini blind to the fabric. You can use fabric glue, or in this case, I used some hot glue and I used a lot of it. Once I hold it down, it's going to do great. Then I'm going to head right down to the bottom and put that on, again, using an ample supply of hot glue. Go ahead and put that down, hold it in place for about a minute, and then I'm going to take those slats, 5 of them, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in place evenly and distribute them up and down. Once I do that, it's time to put some glue on those also. Again, you can use hot glue or fabric glue. Once I put it on, I'm just going to flip it over and let it hold there. It's going to set up in about a minute. Do that on every single one of the slats that you have left over. Make sure you don't get anything on the cord. Once I put that over and I get it on there, it's time to go ahead and put the brackets that come with the mini blind on the door, right above the window. Once I get it on and it's secure, I'm going to take that mini blind and pop it into place. And it actually turned out really good. Look at this Roman shade that I made. You can go ahead and pull it down. Again, it's cordless, and once you pull it all the way down the bottom, it stays in place. I think it turned out amazing. It looks good down or up. I hope this inspired you to do your own DIY Roman shades.